Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ian as a Weirdo. This video is going to be something different. Usually I post crochet content and just other random shit. But today I had the pleasure of watching Will and Harper. And as a trans person, I thought I would just talk about my feelings about it. And yeah, so I just kind of want to preface this video by saying that regardless of your politics, your feelings about trans people, good, bad, indifferent, I would say that I would suggest watching the movie before maybe watching this video or other reviews about it, so that you can kind of have an idea of what the person who is reviewing it is talking about. It also may, make you look at things a little bit differently, and I think that's always a positive thing when we can have discussions rather than just attacking people online, right? Because I don't think we really get far as human beings by just posting nasty things online without being as informed as we possibly can. So, and we're all guilty of it at some point or another. But I think that, especially with a subject like this, it would be really helpful if you watch the documentary first. Harper is Will Ferrell's friend. She transitioned later in life, and the point of this documentary is to kind of see what their friendship looks like after her transition, and how she can navigate the world as a trans woman. And it is a very, I kind of was really hoping for a lot of things in this documentary, and I would say that it delivered on them completely. And while you can't plaster every single trans person's experience into what Harper and any other one person's experience to every trans person's, I do think it is enlightening to what a lot of people experience to some degree when they transition, and the fears that they experience, the challenges that they may face, and how they view themselves in the world, and how they feel like the world will view them. There were fears that Harper discussed that I absolutely resonated with. And I felt that Will and Harper were able to really discuss some of these issues that I think sometimes, as I've noticed with people around me, sometimes people are afraid to ask questions. They don't know what's okay to ask. And I felt that, with Harper being a beautiful, brave, open book, and saying, at the beginning of the documentary, you're my friend, you can ask me anything. I know that whatever you ask me will absolutely not be with like malice or anything like that, or ill intentions. Not every person's going to be like that. Not every person's going to want to talk about surgeries or hormones or blah, blah, blah. There are so many things about the trans experience. And sometimes the questions that people want to ask most are like, well, what, are you going to get the surgeries? And things like that. And Harper is an open book to Will, which really is beautiful, and we're fortunate to be able to see her experience and get Will's experience as well, because I think it's important that not only do we see a trans person's experience and how they transition, how they encounter the world, but how the people who love them encountered them and how their view of the world kind of shifts because of their friendship or the love that they have for someone else. And I thought it was done very beautifully. I thought there were a lot of moments that were very heartfelt and deep. There were some that were heartbreaking and remind me why I don't always feel safe um, and why I don't always have the option of being, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Why, some of the fears, I guess a better way to say it, some of the fears that Harper expressed are fears that I felt so deeply, and I still feel some of them. And it can be uh, really hard to feel that way when you feel like you're the only one who does feel that way. And so I thought it was a very well done movie that spoke to some of these concerns and talking about a friendship and and how allies can best help us and how trans people, some of the things that we initially think, the reasons that we think that we're, the kind of just the inner dialogue that we have can be a little bit on the side of assuming that everyone hates us, assuming that no one's going to like us, assuming that no one's going to love us anymore. And I thought that all of these topics were broached really well, and I am thankful for that. There were some moments that were very hard to watch because they were so raw, particularly like the moment that they had in Texas, and kind of like the social media response that they got and showed on screen for some parts of it. One thing that is distinctly different from Harper and myself is that Harper was very like it was almost she was very open, like, oh yeah, since I transitioned, it would just be part of the conversation, right? Since I transitioned, and I'm not knocking that by any means, but for me, that was never something that's not how I communicate with people. It's, if people ask me if I'm trans, like I'm not hiding anything, but like, clearly, but it's never, I don't usually, it's not how I communicate, I guess, just in general. But I understand in the context of the documentary, and then also in just who Harper may be, that's just how she talks. And so that's a distinct difference between her and I, is that some trans people are, they lay out their transition like, yes, I transitioned, bing, bang, boom. Not bing, bang, boom, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I transitioned, and then here's the rest of the story. And for me, it's just like, okay, and I'm talking. So it's not something that I often just like announce that I'm trans. It's just something that if people ask me, I'll say yes. Or if there are concerns that I have, like there have been times where I've been like, hey, I know like my medical file says this, but I'm trans and I go by this name and I use these pronouns and stuff like that. And most people are like, yeah, cool. And occasionally you find people that are less cool, and whether it be through lack of practice with trans people, or some kind of ill intent or kind of like negative indifference, I guess is the best way to say it. Where they're like, I don't give a shit that you think you're trans. I'm going to call you whatever your medical file says or whatever. And so, you can encounter those people. But I think that I was really moved by just how we saw the humanity of these two people. And I've said this before when I talked about it on Facebook, but I was suggesting that people watch it, and I said, this is not a story about trans people. This is a story about humans. And I firmly believe that. I said it's not a story about politics. It's a story about humans. And I do believe that, because it's about two friends and the changes that friends go through, and how do we adapt, and does that love stay the same as changes happen throughout our lives? There are, another tough spot was when I believe they were in Indiana and they went to a basketball game, and Will met the governor and introduced Harper and said she just transitioned. And so her transition was kind of just constantly being brought up. She just transitioned. It was never just like, here's Harper, my friend. It was like, here's Harper, she just transitioned. And that's not a dig at Will Ferrell or anyone. I think that's just kind of how that anybody wanted to do things, and the governor, acted, nonplussed. But then we find out later that this governor has, there have been some significant anti-trans policies put into place under this governor, and it's a really eye-opening moment for both Harper and Will, and I think Will especially, because Will gets emotional, and he's like, I felt so, I should have asked what his policies were. And it's like, I think as non-celebrities, I like the likelihood of me meeting the governor is, pretty freaking low. So, those are kind of not moments that I think the average person would, think about how they would encounter that situation. But to see Will's reaction and just like, I can't believe that I didn't bring it up, and how guilty he felt that he couldn't sit there and stand up for his friend, I think shows that, shows one, the love he has for Harper as a person, as a friend, and also, the quality of ally he is, that he knows that he could have said something, and he was like, shit, I missed my chance, and there it was right in front of my face. That was a really, really tough, hard moment for them it was just a hard moment to watch, because you saw it looked like, to me, if I interpret it correctly, it looked like Will kind of thought he failed his friend. And, I think that there's a beautiful story to be told that is told through this movie. And I know that not everyone will have the same takeaways from this movie. That's okay. We can discuss like adults. And I know that some people will go into this movie with the same point of view that they come out with. That's fine. But if you are interested in watching the movie, like I said, no matter your point of view on trans issues and trans rights, I do think that this is a beautiful story about just the humanity that sometimes gets forgotten when we talk about trans issues. Sometimes we're so focused on, should, this be allowed and that be allowed, or, whatever, we think about these big political viewpoints, and we forget at the end of the day that it all boils down to what the humans who are at the end of it, and this is with all political issues, right? But the humans that are at the end of it, how they will, how it affects them, and also how those policies will change how the public perceives these people. And I do think that it's really important to kind of keep in mind that, these are just real people who are just looking for, a life to live. And some really touchy subjects are discussed, and I've had the fortune of not have been in like the same headspace due to my gender identity. Other reasons, yes, but for my gender identity, no. I have the privilege of not having that same intensity and dysphoria, but it doesn't mean that I don't know that other people like Harper, like the trans woman that they met in, I forgot where exactly they met her. It was a smaller town, started with a P. Pecoria, was that it? But it's a beautiful documentary. I'm so happy it was made, and I just really encourage anyone to watch it, like I said, no matter your feelings about it, because I think it's something that we can all learn from. And even if it doesn't change your stance on these things that are discussed, what I think can be learned by everyone is the power of humans to realize that we can ask questions, get to know people, love people. Those people can change, and we can still love them even though there's something going on that we didn't know about with these changes. And we are always learning as humans and becoming better humans, or trying to become better humans is the hope, right? And so hopefully this movie inspires you. I think that for me, I'm incredibly thankful that it was released. I'm incredibly thankful for everyone who played a part in this project, and to both Will and Harper. I wish them the best. Not that anybody cares what I think, but I'm very thankful that this came out, because I think that as a trans person, seeing the stories of other trans people and how they have learned to survive and thrive, even if those steps might seem small to someone else, they don't feel small sometimes, and they feel immeasurable and impossible sometimes to other people. So check out the movie if you want. I highly encourage it. It's on Netflix now, just got released, and yeah, so I'll talk to you later.